All right. What's going on, YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. And as you can see, we have Stuart Anderson with us once again. Stuart's one of our clients getting ready to self-surrender. I think you said February, is it 10th, Stuart?
10th. Yes, that's correct.
February 10th. And where are you going, Stuart?
Yankton, South Dakota.
Oh, man. So we're going to go to Yankton Federal Prison. That's going to be your little vacation for, what do you got, 48-month sentence?
48 months, that's correct.
Stuart's had quite the morning. Stuart's, pre-trial, they make you jump through hoops. You got to go do pee tests. You had to go do a urine test this morning. Is that what you had to go do, Stuart?
Yeah, that's right. They open at like 4:30 to 9. They usually have a whole bunch of people that they call out their numbers. You get a number, and so you're assigned a number the whole time you're in pre-trial. So if they call out 148, you're 148, for example, then you have to go in. So you have to call in every day to see if you have to go. And unfortunately, it was this morning. Well, fortunately it was this morning, and it hasn't been for about a week and a half or so. But I had to get up early at 4 o'clock this morning, so I went back to bed after I put my son to school. So there you are.
Well, it's not fun, but at least you're doing it, right? It's getting it out of the way. So as you're getting ready to self-surrender, I know just like everybody else, you've got a lot of questions. And for those of you that did not see part one, we have another interview we did with Stuart several weeks ago. There's a link in the description of the video. You can go ahead and watch that if you want to know more about Stuart's story. But just to kind of cut to the chase real quick, Stuart was an attorney, pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and owes like more than $5 million in restitution. So if you want to go listen to that, click on the link. It's like an hour interview with Stuart. Today, we're going to be focusing on a little bit of what Stuart's been doing to prepare as he gets ready to embark on this journey, getting ready to leave his family behind for a little bit. And with COVID ramping through the system, these are good questions for all of us. Even I want to know a little bit more about what can we bring into the prison system? What should we expect? So in a few minutes, we're actually going to be calling the Yankton Federal Prison live. While we're on here, we're going to do a live call to them through the system and see if maybe they'll tell us a little bit of information. So Stuart, tell us, what is it like as you're getting ready to go in? You're coming down to the wire now. Are you sleeping okay? I know you've been doing a lot to mentally prepare.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sleeping okay. I'm still sticking with the general routine. I'm going to my training. I teach, but that's coming rapidly to a close. As the calendar gets closer, you're realizing, hey, I don't have much time left. So there's a few things that I'm still working on. There's some people I still need to call for family, so I can get them on my contact list. I need to finish up my book list of magazine and books, the stuff that I want to get set up on Amazon prior, or tell loved ones, to get certain books for me, etc. I've already photocopied everything that like the legal documentation things from. I'm taking my ID, but your social security number, your college or school, whatever school you have, your transcript stuff, all of that stuff, I'm going to mail to myself probably a couple days before I go in, so that when I get there, well, I'll have a few pieces of things on me when I get there, and hopefully they'll let me do that. But as a backup, I'm gonna mail the same things to myself, plus just some other things that I'll use for personal training things, some qigong type things, tai chi type things that I can mail to myself.
How's it been? How's your family been dealing with it as you get down to the wire? What's going on with like your wife, your children? How are they kind of handling all of this?
It's tough. I think that we're in a much better spot than where we were 18 months ago, obviously, or even 5 months ago, 4 months ago, as far as the emotional level. But it's there. My son is really struggling. He knows it's coming, and he's had a couple breakdowns, as far as not with me, because I've told him, hey, you got to be the man of the house. You got to be strong. I mean, it's easy for me to say that. He's only 11, but I'm trying to, keep his chin high. But when he talks to his mom, and he's been pretty upset. But we're getting there. And I mean, there's no way to truly prepare. I mean, you can mentally be ready, and we have all the household stuff ready and all the contacts ready, banking, all that kind of stuff, bills, that's all done. But the tire hits the road when they're there to see you off at the airport.
Yeah,
I have
I imagine no matter how much you really prepare for this, I mean, I can say it firsthand. I guess I can't imagine because I went through it,
yeah,
but the anxiety, it doesn't go away. You're just working on ways of managing it. Real quick question. Some people had a question in the room for you. Cody is asking, what were your guideline range and what was your sentence? So I'll let you answer that.
well, I was thinking about that from when we did the other video. I think my initial guideline range, I don't have it memorized, but it was a lot higher than what it ended up being. But it was, let's just say it was somewhere in the range of 51 to, it was like 50 or 60 something to 72. And then it got shifted down to like 51 to whatever you put on the screen. I forgot what that was. I should know my,
Yeah,
out of sight, out of mind now, but it ended up
yeah,
being
it's a
like,
lot to take in. But Cody, you can go check that out on the first video. But what were you
yeah, it's like
ultimately saying?
51. It's 51 to something or other. And they ended up giving me 48.
48 months.
Yeah.
And
I didn't really get that much of a break. So there you go.
And being an attorney, whenever we see people that are, in a professional field like that, like an attorney, a doctor, a police officer, usually it's kind of rough on sentencing because it's, you've got these ethics and these codes that you kind of live your life by. So it seems like a judge in many cases can kind of take that a little bit serious. Well, we're waiting for some more questions to pop in. You were asking me some questions right before we jumped on live, Stuart. You're asking me some questions about, the email and things like this. These are probably things that go through a lot of people's, what they start thinking about as they get closer and closer. So as you ask some of those questions, and obviously we're going to call the prison, and maybe the prison will give us a whole lot of information, or maybe they're going to tell us they can't tell us anything, or maybe they won't even answer the phone. But what were some of those questions you had?
Well, what can you bring in? I mean, I think that's been beat to a dead horse, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to ask them. And based on things that you've heard before, sometimes prisons will tell you, "Oh, you can bring in X, Y, and Z." You get there and they take it away anyway because that's not really their policy. So I'm looking at this more as a minimalist issue. You know, I'm gonna bring a religious necklace I wear, a little religious thing, the clothes on my back, and my little manila envelope with the legal stuff in it, and like this like sweatshirt I'm wearing, for example, and it's all this is my house one, so it's like all shredded and torn. This is what I just wear around, to do work around the house. I'm wearing this because if they're going to take it from me, then I don't really care because I'm going to throw this out pretty soon anyway, or shred it up for rags. So I don't really care. So like sweats and stuff like that. Now I'm lucky enough to have my buddy is going to fly up from Texas, and he's going to drive down
Take
with
the
me
road trip?
the night before. Yeah, the night before he's going to fly up to Sioux Falls, and then we're going to drive down. We're spend the night there, and then he's going to drop me off. He's a really good close friend of mine, and he's going to do that for me. So if I have any extra items on me, I don't think I'm going to bring my phone. But anything like a jacket, I'm gonna need a warm jacket, but I'm not gonna have them take the jacket. I'll give it to him. He can mail it back to my house, that kind of thing. But as far as like what to bring in, what we'll see. Like I said, I'm taking a minimalist approach there. It's just everything that I've seen. It just seems much easier to do it that way.
Right.
This isn't state prison, so you don't get care packages that can be sent in every 3 months where people get shoes and clothes and all. You don't get that. So you only get books that are sent in and magazines, and that sounds like that's about the extent of it. Everything else comes out of the commissary. So that what else we want to know? We wanted to find out about the amount of money.
Yeah, we're going to ask them if they can give us an idea what the monthly commissary limit is or weekly commissary limit, because I know what it was prior to COVID, but many prisons are like $50 a month in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out, which is real hard, to shop on $50 a month. Anybody that's been in there, especially out of the gate.
Also want to know what the quarantine situation is like. Now, I think I'm going to be my guess based on talking to one of your associates, because this is a standalone camp and it used to be an old college. It's not a penitentiary. It's not anything like that. So even when you go to camps that are attached to penitentiaries, whether it's a low or medium, when you go to quarantine, you would go over to the low, for example, and go in the shoe or something like that. I don't have to do that in this scenario. I think they probably have a set aside area in one of the dorms that's probably quarantined, but I'd like to find out about that. I'd also like to find out if they're going to, we all have our own opinions, I guess, about COVID and vaccines and that sort of thing. I don't particularly want a vaccine. Do I have to have one? Are they going to force me to have a vaccine? That's important. I mean, they may say, well, you're here and you have no choice. You got to take it. Okay, so my constitutional rights end when I walk in the door, I suppose. I don't know. But I'd like to know if I have to have it. If they say, well, if you don't, you can't move around. Well, then, of course, I'm going to take it because I don't want to be locked inside of a room, for a year.
Right. Yeah, Cody asked another good question, Scott. Because I know our Stuart keeps saying Scott. I was just talking to Scott a few minutes ago. Because this is actually when we did our first video, you weren't sure where you were going yet. You hadn't been designated. And Cody asked, did the BOP explain the designation process or just did they tell you to go here on this date? They don't really give you much, right? There's a letter comes in the mail and it says you're to self-surrender.
Yeah, stay right. I have it right here, actually.
Don't forget, guys, to subscribe, like, share. You can also text the word YouTube to 76626. Oh, that's the letter right there?
That's it.
So that's it, guys. I don't know if you can read that. Dear Mr. Anderson, the United States Bureau of Prison is designating you the following institution, sentenced to the referenced, there you go, FPC Yankton, February 10th. Does it say what time to be there?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. So you can be there by 2 p.m., which is pretty normal. Most places, 2 p.m. What's your register number? Is it on there? And when we call, I'm going to give that to them. If you don't know, I have it. I can pull it up.
I have it. Yeah, I have the number. It's not on here. They don't put it on. No, they don't have it on here. They just have your reference case number, but not your BOP number. But to answer her question, no, they don't tell you that. I learned all of that by just doing research. I mean, you can go to the bop.gov website. There's lots of different websites out there, or if you just do a Google search, that'll break down the process of how they categorize you based on your security level, what those things are, from the type of crime you've done, whether it's violence and guns involved. They look at a security risks factor. If you have mental issues, this, that, and the other. I was literally from 0 to 11, you go to camp. Anything above 11, you go to, I don't know what that range is. Dan probably knows, between 11
you
and
actually
something,
get
you go low.
You get a 3-level reduction as well for self-surrendering. So whatever it is, if you're self-surrendering, it automatically drops 3 more levels down for you guys.
Which makes sense because the court's already deemed you someone that's not going to flee. I'm not saying people probably haven't left. I mean, I could just leave, but I mean, that helps tremendously if you're able to self-surrender. So my security level is a 0. So I was going to camp no matter what.
Right.
It just then it came down to, they typically try to place you within 500 miles of your release residence, which for me, it would technically be Lompoc, outside of Santa Barbara up that way, which is drivable from where I live. But I chose not to go there. Well, I can't say I chose.
Be real careful how you say that, man. I got Lori Loughlin under a lot of fire. That everybody thought she chose her prison when she didn't.
It's kind of funny because now that I understand the process, and you watch these things on TV like Loughlin, you get people getting pissed off thinking, oh, she's rich and she got wherever she wanted. That's not how it works. I don't care how much money you have.
Yeah.
Now you can request, your attorney can request to the judge, we would like to go to here. The judge can, if he wants to, say, okay, I'm going to write it into your paperwork, my recommendation. He could say, no, I'm not going to recommend it. He could recommend something else, or he could recommend nothing at all. But if he takes your recommendation, typically, from what I understand, depending upon where you're asking to go to, typically they do look at the judge's request, but the BOP does not have to, because it really depends upon their need. Because once you're in the BOP, you're out of the court system. I am now the property of the Bureau of Prisons.
Yeah, that was just media jumping. I think the media even knew that, really. And then you got LeBron James and people like Wendy Williams all chiming in. It's all right. It's all bullshit anyway. Hey, Robbie, how you doing? Robbie, what's going on, my man? I just want to say thank you to everybody who's joining us today. We got John Goff, Kimberly, Cody, got Sean over at Club Fed True Stories. Go check out his YouTube channel, guys. He actually did some time. He was not a client of ours, but he was following us before he went in. And Robbie, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. So I pulled up. I got your register number, so when we call over there, we can check on that. What do you say? You want to give them a call? See if they got some advice for us.
Sure. Are you gonna ask the questions?
Yeah, I'll ask the questions if that's okay. That way.
Yeah, you know what to ask.
All right.
Bubbly, whatever.
So let's call them up here, guys. And you all should be able to hear this when I call, because I have it synced to my phone. So let's go over to the BOP, and I'll show you what we're looking at here. So this is the BOP's website. We're over on Yankton. Let's give them a call. 605-665-3262.
Hello, you reached the Federal Prison Camp in Yankton, South Dakota. This call is in reference to an inmate. Dial 0 or remain on the line.
Transferring you to
Operator.
If they don't answer, we'll call back.
Federal Prison Camp Yankton, is this call in reference to an inmate?
It is. It's actually in reference to a client of mine that will be self-surrendering on February 10th. Hello?
What's the name of the self-surrender?
Yes, Stuart Anderson.
One moment, please.
Thank you. Will do, Robbie. Being put on hold is so much fun. Usually once they answer, they don't put you on hold.
Records office.
Yes, I was calling about a client of mine that will be self-surrendering on February 10th.
Okay, what can we do for you?
Sure. This is basic questions. With COVID and stuff, has it changed on anything on what he can bring in with him when he comes in there, as far as like, Bibles, wedding rings, religious crosses, anything like that?
Not at this time.
So he can still bring everything with him?
Yep.
Do you know, what's that?
And like I said, are you just going off the list on our website?
Yes, but I've heard a lot of different things now because of COVID. It's a lot of stuff can't be brought in. What about do you know if commissaries changed, or can he still bring money in with them, or how should he have money put on his
go
books?
ahead and have him. If he wants to bring his cash, he can put his cash on his surrender day.
Okay, so he can bring in there.
There it'll all go. Yeah, and then from there on, it'll all go up through the lockbox in Des Moines.
And what about did the commissary limit change? Because online it says it's like $300 and something a month.
But that's been kind of varying.
Kind of varying. So we're not sure what it is right now.
I think I don't know for sure right now. Like I said, just as the different guidance has been progressing and degressing, so to speak,
Okay.
They have been adjusting it somewhat, but
Good to know. And
the actual amount at this time, I don't know.
okay, no problem. Appreciate it. And last question for you: vaccinations. Do you know when he gets there? Does he have to do a vaccine, or would he be better off? If so, would he be better off doing it before he goes?
Well, that'd be through the medical. That's all within that HIPAA type information. So that I have no answer for you on that.
No answer. Okay. And is RDAP currently running, the Residential Drug Abuse Program?
RDAP is back up and going.
Awesome. Beautiful. Okay. I think if we have any additional questions, I will give you a call back, or I'll have them call directly. I appreciate the time, sir.
That will work.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too now.
Okay, there you go, guys. That was pretty helpful, and they were look, a lot of times you'll get somebody on the phone who is willing to help. So
Can you recap that for me? Because I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I'd like to.
okay. Basically he said you can bring your money with you and put it on your books that day. So he said that's not a problem. RDAP is back up and running. Vaccinations, he couldn't say yay or nay. He said that you got to talk to, when you get there, you have to talk to medical due to HIPAA. Commissary, he says it's been varying up and down. So I'm going to assume commissary has been sliced up a little bit. It sounds like maybe he didn't know, but he did say, as of now, you can bring in the normal stuff with you. So Bible, things like this, and you'll have your friend there with you. So if for whatever reason you can't bring any of that stuff in there with you, you can always give it to your friend who's driving. He can always bring it back with you. You always want to just wear in real crummy clothes, because they're not going to hold the clothes that you wear in. They're not going to keep them for you for when you release. So you're either going to send them back with whoever brought you, or they're going to get tossed. So make sure you're wearing some crummy clothes there. But and then you had some questions about email and whatnot, didn't you, Stuart?
That's correct. So typically it's core links. So I've got to notify a bunch of people about my DOP number, my general contact information, and a lot of that can be a lot of the information can be had directly off of Yankton FPC website, as far as how they send money and how they contact me, but I have to give them some of that information. But there's nothing specific about how the email system works
Right.
for people out, including me. I mean, I know it's called core links, but I think I have to get in there first, get my list in there, and then I think you were saying I would send emails out to whoever I want to contact, and they will get some kind of an email from the prison system saying, "Hey, a prisoner is trying to contact you. Do you want to?" I mean, I don't know that process.
Yeah. So the email, guys. So when you're going to email friends and family, if you're going into the BOP, it's not like you get in there and get access to your Gmail. You're going to be using, and there it's called True Links. Out here for us, it's called Core Links. So it's through an internal program in the BOP system. And now some of you that are going to like a private prison, like well, Taft is now closed, but when you're at some of these private prisons, they don't necessarily use Core Links. They might have their own system, but for the majority of you, you're going to be using Core Links. So for somebody like Stuart, he gets there. In order for anybody to be able to email Stuart's going to have to initiate it. So Stuart's going to log into the system there. When he gets there, he'll get onto his computer that will be in your dorm. And it's basically, think of a glorified typewriter, an electronic typewriter. There's no attachments. There's no videos. There's no emojis. There's no taking pictures. It's just emailing, read and receive. It's text only. So he'll add individuals like myself. He would add Daniel Wise. He would have to add my phone number. He's also got to add my address. So you got to have a name, address, phone number, and email of the individuals you want to add. Once you put that information into the system, within about 10 minutes, the phone number should be approved. Almost immediately, the phone number will be approved, where you can now call that person. The email, however, will not be approved until the contact that you requested actually gets the email, opens it up, approves it, and creates like their account with Core Links or True Links. This is why we always recommend to all of our clients and all of you that are watching, make sure you also get the app out of the App Store, whether you're Android or iPhone. You can download the Core Links app. Downloading the Core Links app will make your life a whole lot easier, because And right now, if your family or friends want to email you back and forth, the only way they're going to know that you emailed them for the majority of the time is when they go into their email. They might see you have an email from CoreLinks. Then they got to log into the CoreLinks website. They got to put their username and password in. Maybe they forgot it. Once they're in there, now they can email back and forth from that internal system. If they use the app on their phone, as soon as they get an email, it will alert you on your phone, just like it'll come up like a text message basically, and you can click on that and you can respond right from your phone.
So you can respond. That's what I was going to ask
Yes.
you.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can respond right from the phone. Now the CoreLinks app, I think it's like, I forgot, $7 a month or something like that, to have it on your phone, or I'm sorry, $7 a year to have it on your phone. So it's well worth it. And like for myself, I deal with, our list of clients and some people that aren't clients. I only have to have that app once on my phone, and I can add multiple people to that one app. So it's like $7 a year for that one app for multiple people that are incarcerated. So that will make your life a lot easier for everybody. And they can download the app now. They don't have to wait till you're there to download it. They just can't activate it until you get that request from your loved one that's incarcerated. And if you got questions on that, guys, you can always shoot me a call or a text or an email. Putting money on your books, it's real easy. If friends or family, we actually made a video on that, on, sending money to a loved one through Western Union online. You can get right through the website. And so if anybody needs some help on that, you can click on that video as well, and we'll give you a nice little walkthrough. So let's see if we got any questions over here. Major Harley, yes, I use the app, which makes things a lot nicer. Cody, my lawyer has several clients in prison that have access to tablets legally. That's state prison, Cody. Tablets haven't hit the BOP yet. Hopefully it'll be something that happens soon, but you're not going to be seeing any tablets in feds.
What about, do they have video conferencing at these places?
Oh, shoot. That's the one question we forgot to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know if Yankton has it or not. A lot of places do have the video calls, which is basically like Skype, but it's through their own. And that app, you can download that app on your phone as well. So you'll see CoreLinks. You'll see two different apps there. You'll see the one that's just for email, and then you'll see the video chat one as well. Yeah, I don't know if they have it yet. I know at Coleman still doesn't have access to it, but when I was there, you could see it on the system. This was 2015 when I was leaving, and they still haven't updated it to where you can do video calls from Coleman Low yet. So, it's a learning curve, right? You're going to get there. A lot of these questions, these are the anxiety questions that we have because we're diving into this abyss of unknown things. Think about leaving your house, right? You're like, if you go on, let's say you're going to go on a 3-day vacation, you're going to go down to the Keys. As you're walking out of your house, you're making sure you don't forget anything. You're like, do I got this? Do I got this? You want to make sure you don't, get 50 miles away and go, oh shit, I need this. Going to prisons like that, but times a million, because you're really trying to tie up all these loose ends, and you don't want to get there and go, oh, I should have did this, I should have did that, because it's really hard to achieve that from in prison, because now you're relying on other people to do a lot of the grunt work for you, where you can't do it yourself. So this is why Stuart and everybody else has these burning questions, and a lot of it doesn't matter. You'll get there and figure this stuff out. It won't be the end of the world, but you want to be at as much peace as possible. So what other questions do you, what else is going on in your current life, Stuart? Like getting ready to go. Where was your mindset, 6 months ago, thinking about, man, I'm going to prison, versus where it is as your countdown is? How many days away are you now?
I'm ignoring that. I'm ignoring that. So I'm flying out on the 9th to get there on the 10th. So we're only talking not very long.
Not very long. What's your biggest concern right now about going?
I don't particularly have any concern about going physically in there. Again, I'm very, if there's any blessing here, I'm going to a camp. I'm going to a standalone camp. I'm going to probably one of the nicer ones. There's like the top 5. If you look up top 5 camps, where, Yankton's right there. So I'm not worried about anything there as much as the reality that I'm going to be away from my family. The impact that has. I mean, I'm not getting up. I'm not getting my son ready for school. I'm not taking him to school, doing homework. I'm not training personally. I'm not training. I'm not spending time with the wife. I mean, those are like the things. And I know I've said that a million times, but that's the stuff that kills me. If this was just me and I was a single guy, and it would suck. But I'd go in and go, all right, well, here I go. I'm going to go into this and basically be in a situation where I'm told what to do and I've got a schedule and I've got to get up and I've got to do counts and I got to do my little job and then maybe have some free time. You get in, I can already tell I have to get myself into a routine because that's the way it is going to be. You either fall apart in there or you try to, if there's any way to make the best of going to prison, you say, okay, well, how can I do things in here for my self growth? And like I said before, the opportunity to maybe it's work out, maybe it's do some of my training, maybe I can teach, taking courses, reading, writing. It sounds like I've got nothing but time when I get in there, so I might as well make the best of it. But the worst part, and it's always in the back of the mind because we've been staying busy right now, trying to get things ready. I've got my nephew's coming to visit me this week for a few days. It's kind of like a goodbye thing. He's going to be with us, so I'm gearing up to seeing him tomorrow through the weekend, and then I think reality's going to hit. And believe it or not, I've got some daddy to do things that I need to do before I leave. We got some stuff it sounds funny, stuff in the garage I need to work on. I've got these busy things to kind of keep my mind busy, but in the back of my mind, that date is getting closer and it will come a time when I'm going to be saying goodbye to my family and I'm going to be heading out. And so the best I can do is, hope that we get the RDAP going, hope that I do well in there and I get the time I need off to get back home as soon as I possibly can. I mean, that's all I can.
Has your son asked you any questions recently? Has there been more of a void? Because this is, a lot of people have kids. What's changed as you get closer? Is there more communication going on? Is there any different types of questions?
Well, I mean, he knows the situation. It's more of like, Dad, how am I going to, how am I, you're going to be gone. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. I mean, him and I are really close. So it's more of trying to keep his emotions in line. I mean, there's like, all I can do is tell him, look, hey, like, he's like, is it gonna be 4 years? And I said, no, it's not gonna be 4 years. And I can't guarantee 2. I would love to say 2 or whatever that date is or whatever. Maybe it's sooner, maybe it's, I don't know. I mean, all we can do is work toward that. So I don't want to give him any false expectations. But on the other hand, it's not gonna be 4. We know that for a fact, unless I did something really stupid and maybe they added time, but that's not my personality. So keeping the expectations that, look, this will end. I will be home. Just stay the course. You've got school. You've got, things that you do around the house. You be the man of the house for mom. Make sure, you're doing your chores, helping out, that type of thing. Try to keep him busy while I'm gone. But I mean, I don't even know any other way really to truly prepare that aspect of it. I mean, I can prepare myself, and I've already been preparing myself, but we all have to realize that this is not just about you. I mean, if you have family, if you're single, then it is about you, but it's about everyone in my family that's affected by this, and what are they going to go through,
Yeah, and I imagine you're going to be, having a lot of questions about the First Step Act and the programming credits. We've actually got, we have way more answers. We did a video on this just a couple days ago, and I'll send you the list, Stuart, as I'm creating it right now. I've gotten with Tom. We've gotten some pretty down and gritty on there. I think we have every program that's approved. We have what's the max amount of time you can get per program. But one of the things that we did find out is you can't just take as many programs as you want. These programs have to be requested or required by your case manager. So if there's 50 programs that qualify in the First Step Act, but your case manager only wants you to take 1 or 2 of them, you can't just go take anger management because it's a program that qualifies unless your case manager feels there's a need for it. These are a lot of the reasons, knowing this stuff now as we move forward with future clients on getting ready for that pre-sentence report. We want to make sure that any of these approved programs that we have a whole list for now, guys. So check in with me in a couple of days and I'll have the list shared on YouTube. And on that list, it's not just going to show the programs that are qualified, but it's also going to show what the max amount of time you can get for some of these programs. For an example, there's some programs that are only like 18 or 19 hour programs, but those 18 or 19 hours are spread out over a couple of weeks. So taking one of those programs might only be worth like anywhere for 2.5 hours to 2.5 days worth of credit. So it's going to be harder than the average person thinks to get. I'm getting guys that are emailing me going, hey, I need to know what my good time credits are, not clients, but as people in the BOP. I think I got a year off and they haven't calculated it yet. And these people are going to be in for a rude awakening because the good time credits are not developed quite the way we thought they were going to be. So we'll have a list, a calculator where you can calculate this stuff and we'll send it to guys that are inside. We'll send it to you and your family members on the outside to break it down and make it a little bit easier for you. But Stuart is hoping for, the residential drug abuse program. He's got some information in there that puts him, in the scope of the program. And then he also met with our substance abuse professional, who's a licensed chemical dependency professional, to maybe help offset some of the stuff that might be missing out of the PSR. It's real important, guys, that if you do have substance abuse issues, that it's very well documented at the time of the pre-sentence report. Stuart did not hire us in the beginning. He was working with another consultant before and brought us on more recently after the pre-sentence interview, after his sentencing, to try to increase his likelihood of coming home as soon as possible. You've got a pretty good mindset about this, Stuart. I know today is a rough day for you because you had to get up extra early and go down there.
I'm tired. I know.
Go down there and drug test.
I look at myself, oh my God, I look like I've been beaten.
You look like a guy that's getting ready to self-surrender to prison, honestly.
That too. Exactly.
It'd take a beating on you. Look, there's nothing pleasant about self-surrendering to prison, but our whole goal here at Federal Prison Time Consulting and even in our personal lives is this is an undesirable circumstance for anybody to be in. And it's incredibly easy to focus on how many negative aspects of here. Like Robbie pointed out that, prison's not the answer. The system has to change. However, the situation that Stuart's in right now, that's great. The system does need to change, but doesn't change the fact that Stuart's going to go do prison time. So how we choose to look forward and how we use this time, and that's why I ask you about your child, and he's asking you these questions, and there's got to be an internal, you feel like it's ripping you apart. So you have to find a way to, how are you going to come back with that, to use this horrible feeling and find the good and the silver lining. And I think that's going to be the real journey for anybody. The inward journey is, making the best out of the situation and not focusing on, how horrible it is.
Yeah.
What do you think, Stuart?
Yeah. And I think, it's kind of after the fact, but the old adage that you need to be in the present. And I think if you need to go through your life staying in the present, whether it's dealing with stuff on the news or work, or when you're in the present, life is better. And also your relationships. I think you take your relationships for granted, including your family. And then all of a sudden I'm in a situation where I'm like, holy crap, I'm not going to see my family. So all those times where you're getting annoyed and whatever, you're scrapping about different things, and you think, oh God, this is so ridiculous. But then now you're like, I'd rather have that than not have my family. So, cherish what you have, cherish the people around you. And I think if you start looking at that differently, because you never know. Anything can happen and it can be taken away, whether, God forbid, somebody passes away unexpectedly, or you're in a situation where you have to go away. You just don't think about those. You think that, oh, nothing's going to happen to me and I'm just going to live my life. But the reality is that doesn't always work out that way. So being in the present and cherishing those around you, I think that's a lesson. Again, I'm getting it semi after the fact, but
Well, you know, the good thing is, Stuart, I can tell you that when I first started doing this, I remember I had people getting ready to go in prison, people going into prison, and I didn't have anybody that had gone through yet and come back out. You know, I was like, how is this? How is everybody going to deal with this? I can tell you now, several years later, we've had dozens of individuals go in, come out, and I can't really think, don't get me wrong, there's been speed bumps for individuals, but I can't really think of an individual that came out and their life just went to pure hell and it was way worse than it ever was prior. The majority, I would say almost everybody, has made a successful comeback, almost better than where they were when they left off. You know, of course, you're going to have that nice hashtag felon attached to your hip for the rest of your life. Convicted felon, you know, attorney disbarred, all that fun stuff. But what you choose to do with this coming out, you seem like the kind of guy that's going to have the right positive attitude. You know, the couple dark days ahead, but it's going to get brighter after that. You know, you're going to have the light at the end of the tunnel. Come February 10th, 11th, once you're there, you're finally going to see through that tunnel, there's going to be a light that pops up because now you're no longer in the unknown. Now you know exactly what to expect. You know where you are. You know what's coming next. There's going to be no more guesswork. So what are some wisdom, some wise words that you would like to maybe depart on people that are watching right now that are getting ready to go through this? Like we have Cody who's getting sentenced. He's getting sentenced Friday. And he's hoping to go to Yankton as well. He's making a recommendation for Yankton. So what are some words you'd have for somebody like Cody that's been going through this, on maybe some things that you wish you had done differently? Share your knowledge with us. And then we'll wrap up the video after that.
if I was wise, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in. But at any rate, what would I have done differently? You mean as far as preparing or
Yeah, obviously not. I mean, obviously after you committed the crime, once you first became under indictment, somebody that's in trouble right now, they just found out, they got the phone call, they're under federal investigation, they just got indicted. What are some things that they could be doing right now to be more proactive to create the best possible outcome, other than hiring us, obviously, but I mean, on their own?
Well, you definitely want to get counsel. Now, in my situation, just as a quick backdrop here, I was not indicted and I wasn't arrested. I didn't have them raid my house and all that. Why? Because they gave me a letter that I was a target. So if I would have fought it, then I would have been indicted. It would have been, then I would have went down that road. But that's not how it worked out for me. But it didn't matter anyway, because the minute that you get that kind of information, you need to get counsel. I don't care if it's you can't get a court appointed counsel prior to there being court, but you really should try to get counsel. I don't know what to do if you don't have the money to get initial counsel. That's a whole other story. But definitely being proactive on finding out what everything entails, which is what I did right away. What does this mean? What is likely going to happen, and what can I do to prepare? Like being careful what you say. Taking a hard look at how the process works. The more you know about how the process works, from indictment through potential trial, maybe you don't go to trial, maybe you plead, whatever the case may be. How does that work? There's a lot of information out there. They can hire people like you, but get a picture of what it is. Don't just hide your head in the sand. And if I was to do it over again, I think I was very, very proactive. But on the other hand, I was very I was very much, it can't be me. I didn't do it.
Denial.
That type of scenario. Sometimes you have to take a hard look at yourself right away, and if for the most part, if there's even a piece of what you did is not correct, you'll know. I mean, rarely is someone 100% innocent on any level and then they're convicted. I mean, I'm sure there's history of that, but take onus of what you got going on, and really take a hard look at yourself. Get all the information that you can, because information is what you need. And then preparing for the pre-sentencing report, um, making sure you're getting the proper guidance on that. Don't try to do that on your own. You really should have someone that has experience with that to help give you some ideas. Now, you're going to deal with your attorney. If you have an attorney, they may not want you to do exactly what, let's say Dan has certain things he says you should do. They don't always follow that. It depends, because there is a strategy depending upon your individual case as to how much of that is used. You're always going to use whatever Dan or whatever your consultant is, but you need to have that information. So information is 100% key. And then start lining things up right. And once you have this information, just methodically go through the steps that are needed to get yourself together. Now, I was luckier than some, because it's been an 18-month process before I'm actually going in, or almost a year. I mean, excuse me, 2 years almost. Some people, you go to a trial setting, or you maybe only have 3 months from the time that you're sentenced until the time that you go in, for example, or something like that. Yeah. So if that's the case, you don't have as much time, but there's still a step-by-step process that you can get yourself prepared for to go in, and also get yourself, whether you're spiritual, whether you're religious, whatever, get yourself straight there. Your family, get yourself straight with your family, as far as the more prepared you are in that aspect of it, it's going to be a lot easier for the transition. It's going to suck. I mean, no one's going to say, "Yay, I get to go to prison today." I'm not saying that. But the more knowledge I have, and like for example, what we just did today, where you're calling in and you're finding out what is the lay of the land. For example, at Yankton, go to the BOP website, go to Yankton, and go down below, and they've got a commissary list. They've got the manual that you're going to get when you get in there anyway. And I've read it a few times, kind of glanced through it, read it. Some of the stuff I don't really care. Some of the stuff I was very specific, like, well, how does this work, and what are the counts and all that, just so you let it flow over you, so you kind of get an idea of what you're getting ready to get yourself into, how it works, because you're going to have to know that manual, correct, Dan? I mean, when you went in, they gave you your manual, and they expect you to know the rules. They're not going to sit there and walk you through everything.
Yeah, a lot of that manual is
not
super
exactly
outdated. I mean, don't get me wrong. Read it all. Take his advice. It's great advice, but just, it's kind of like, going to school for a job and then getting into the real world. And it's like, man, I wasn't really prepared for this.
That's right.
Go in there with this low expectations of, you're here to take it slow, figure it out, especially if you're going into RDAP. For those of you, white collar guys going into RDAP can have a bit of a rough time, because you're whoever you were in the free world, your power plays, you're calling shots, you're bossing people around, all of that, it's gone. It doesn't, and there you have no power. And there, matter of fact, is they use that against you. And they know that was something that was a big part of your life. They make you go the opposite of that. And they constantly remind you that the playing field has been leveled, and you no longer, you have to hear what other people have to say. And these might be people in the free world that you never would have consorted with in the past, that you now have to realize that you can learn some amazing things from people that you never would have given the time of day before. So for me, you guys will hear me say it over and over and over again, that prison for me was an increasingly overwhelming experience, a very positive experience that I've taken a lot from. I don't want to go back, but however, I'm very glad that I went through this process. I don't envy Stuart right now going into prison during, COVID-19 pandemics and chaos out the ass, because these are things that it adds a different level of negativity to the already frustrating process. Yard time was very important. Exercise was very important. Taking classes was very important. Being able to do commissary was very important. making phone calls and visitations. All those things were very important. So a lot of that's been taken away. So now you have to dig even deeper to really find that internal peace. And that's part of what we do here is we stick with you guys while you go through this prison system. And I'll be emailing with Stuart on a regular basis, like we do all of our other clients, because good days and bad days. And our goal here is just like what it is for right now. If Stuart called me up going, oh, I can't believe this, I can't believe that, my answer always is going to be, well, it is what it is and we can't undo it. So let's just make the best of it. What can you focus on? What positive did come from that horrible situation? And if we can do that, every day will be a better day. And if we keep doing things for the right reason, everything else will figure itself out. For those of you that want to keep in touch with Stuart, I will put his BOP contact information in the description of this video. It'll be basically his register number, mailing address. So if you want to send him something, if you want to send him a letter and ask him to add you to Core Links, if you want to keep in ties with him, that way you can both make your own decision. But, it's great to see everybody in the community's method atmosphere helping each other get through this one day at a time. Stuart, I really appreciate you joining us again today, man. And February 10th will be here soon. But this whole thing will be over before you know it. And we'll be doing a video before you know it about your release from prison and what it was like. And we're going to see a much more alive person than we did today.
Maybe I'll send some like semi-blog stuff to you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Post
And then we can keep people posted what's going on at that specific prison, just like Sean Sultan does.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Good.
RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, People Up and People, Communities Method, one day at a time. Again, I thank you all. I love you all. Stay tuned. We're going to be doing a video. Today is Wednesday. On Friday, we're going to have a brand new update on the First Step Act, what the classes can give you, how you can get these classes, and what you can do to maximize your time off. Guys, be safe. I'm out of here. Peace.